And good morning, everybody in Obsessed Land. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning and the sun is shining. However, it is not shining for our wonderful guest who is over on the left or right hand side of me, depending on which way you're looking. So today we are joined by the amazing Leslie Marsh. She is in Scotland at the moment and it is 1 a.m. Thank you so much for joining us and staying awake that long to come and share your wisdoms with us.
Oh, wouldn't miss it for the world. I love a good gab.
I know, literally. I love it. It's so good. So, this is like normal standard obsessed stuff anyway. And what the whole point of obsessed is reaching out to people and finding, the extra in the ordinary. It depends on how you actually view the word ordinary. But in our office, we tend to I think we're all a little bit extra, hence starting the Obsessed Hub. So tell us a little bit, because we do try and shy away from like business promotion and all that kind of stuff, because we really do truly believe, and I know that this resonates with you, that most relationships, good quality relationships, especially business, come from good relationship building, and that requires having a conversation. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, basically I'm a shamanic consultant, but really my passion is storytelling. I think that when we're building relationships, the stories that we tell each other are really important, because when we tell our stories, we're actually listening to them as well. So it keeps us in the groove of where we are. We can either stay in that groove or we can jump into another one. It depends on how we tell our story and who we're telling it to.
Yeah, and I think that's just this is something this is not new stuff either. And especially because of what's happening now with the pandemic, it's become less about marketing, promotion and advertising and more about genuine connection. And if you can imagine like a big, huge campfire and everybody sitting around an electronic campfire, and that's what's happening right now. People sharing their stories and actually having conversations. It's so important for connection. But this is something that our elders and past leaders have done for years. It amazes me that we've kind of skipped that step in this generation, is what it feels like.
Well, yeah, as a shamanic practitioner, we do a lot of sitting around campfires and telling stories. There's still that connection with the being actually part of the nature that's around you and part of the people who are around you too. And it's very, very true that you're influenced by the people around you. I think what they say is that the first 5 people that you have in your friendship actually defines the kind of person that you're going to be. So it's very much a case of when you're looking to do something like build a relationship, you must first build a relationship with yourself. And I think that is actually the biggest thing that we've got a chance to do now. Because we're spending so much time inside, we may as well get a relationship inside.
With ourselves.
With ourselves. Be inside and understand that it's actually, you're a good person. You're a great person. you've lived with yourself for so long. It must be okay. But still, we can surprise ourselves.
Yeah, we can. And look, there's a lot of people, and this is a good topic to discuss anyway. Like self-love is not as easy as it sounds for quite a lot of people. And I'm one of those people for the longest time, like right up until probably about the age of 25, I had a lack of respect for myself and a dislike for myself. Probably came from a whole bunch of stuff. It's sometimes not easily done, is it?
No, it's not. And that's mainly because we're conditioned to be very quiet and always think about others first. And it's very bad to be looking at yourself and saying, that you are actually enjoying to be by yourself sometimes. And a lot of people just don't know how to get that relationship with themselves. And it's part of the stuff that we do in workshops, particularly when we do the fairy tale workshops. We have one.
Well, if you're not actually, if you don't really like yourself, I suppose the thought of being with yourself or being alone could be quite confronting.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrific. It's the idea, the very idea of it. And I think that's why so many people are struggling just now. It's because they're really not used to having to be in with themselves. And everything's off. The makeup's off. The mask is off. We're actually sitting there looking at each other. Who are you? What do you do? What did you always do that? have you, what do we talk about now?
Well, this is it. I mean, like for a lot of people, and it really did feel like that for me, that like the world was starting to feel very overly marketed and overly fake, and these people had built up these layers and layers and layers of different masks and different personas. And I think you come to a point, especially when you're by yourself with no one to impress but yourself, it can be a stark reality for a lot of people. And you kind of go, well, I'm wearing all these clothes and all of these rings and all of this jewelry and all this stuff and all these things to impress who now? Yourself.
Yeah, it's weird. It's for a long time, like you say, we've been outwardly motivated. We've been looking for validation from other people who we're trying to clone. It's particularly the younger generation. It's all, everybody has to be Kim Kardashian or some other of that persona. And it's like, okay, but why not be yourself? Because you have gifts to give the world. We're all here for a purpose. We're all here for a reason. And this lockdown, this stopping, this stillness that we have just now is a great chance to actually find out what that purpose is.
Well, it's a gift, isn't it? And this is, yeah.
It's very much a gift. And it's
also very quickly. I'm just going to get a shout out because we have a lot of people that watch and interject, and we have a lot of regulars that come and kind of chirp in when we have our interviews. So I just want to say good morning to Jenny. We've got Brittany. Hey, Brittany, how you going? Tracy. Hey, Tracy May Horton. She actually is she has an incredible story. We interviewed her as well. So she's one of the people that we actually interviewed in Obsessed. So look, I mean, we're talking about self-love and self-care and all of those kinds of things. And you are a shamanic healer. This is all perceived. P.S. We're all about that life. We have been and had shamanic healing as well. I've got somebody that I go and visit in Byron quite often that I really love. So I'm all about that life and I get it. But there's a lot of people that perceive it as woo-woo. And now it's really starting to come to the forefront and people are starting to really understand the real true value of that type of service. Can you tell me what that is? Can you explain?
There's a lot of bells and whistles going on about it, and there are so many different ways of doing it too, because it's a cultural thing. It's a multicultural, global thing. There are indigenous shaman in every country, in every corner of the world. And basically they all have a gift and a way of working that is specific to their environment, because it's all about respect. Before you go through all the soul retrievals and the empowerments and the past life journeys and the healings, it's all about respect. It's about respecting where you are, what you do with what's around you, and how you treat whoever and whatever is around you. Because in shamanism, everything has spirit. From the plastic cup that you take out of the supermarket to throw away, to the great grand trees that are on the earth, some of which are burning still. And it's one of those things that we have to realize that they're not separate from us. We're all made up of the same stuff. We're all made up of stardust. We're all atoms from the same universe. And we actually depend more on them than we realize. And so what a shaman does is make a relationship between you and your surroundings and all the things that can be seen and some of the things that are not seen.
Do you know what? That perfect explanation. And I've never heard it explained like that before. That just really puts that in human speak for me. Because we are humans having a worldly universal experience. And that is beautiful. It's a beautiful explanation that you are there basically to facilitate a relationship between the human and the universe to really bring you back and connect you to your true essence.
Yeah, to your source.
Yeah. And look, we talk about a lot of sourcing and this is why we were so excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because it actually, you do get like, and I get it, and a lot of people put you in a woo-woo category, but it's really cool when you get to kind of like ask questions and explain those things, and you get someone like yourself that can actually human speak it for us. So source, again, is universe.
Yeah, and when you think about it, we have resources. We resource all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
If we actually realize and remember, well, a lot of us have forgotten to remember that we have those resources there. And a lot of us have been taught to be steered away from that because we've gifted our power over to others. So we're not responsible anymore. It's not our fault. We don't know anything. We weren't told. We didn't learn. But now's the time to learn. Now's the time to get ourselves back in on the harness, get it in there, and actually plough that furrow and get to know what we're growing and what we're going to harvest. Because that's the important thing.
Can you take us through a process? Say, for instance, I was a noob, and a noob as in a newbie, and had no clue about it. And say I came to you as a gift. Somebody gave me the gift of your awesome teachings. What would be the first thing that you would do?
First of all, the first thing I would do would be to connect you with your spiritual power animal. And that is such a convincer. And it's something that, when I've picked your jaw back up off the floor, when you realize what you've just done and what's just happened, then you get it. Because shamanism particularly is an experiential thing. You can talk until the woo-woo is coming out of their ears. But at the same time, it's got to be an experiential thing. It's something that you feel inside. It's something that you understand. And that moment when you get it, when you understand that you can actually do this with a drum, with a rattle, with clapping your hands or stamping your feet, or just listening to some binaural music, you are actually doing it. And the science behind it is that your brain actually wants to trance out. It changes state every 90 seconds. It wants to do that. So to stay in a state of things like depression is very hard work. So when you're depressed, you get very tired because you're working really hard to stay there. And I'm not saying that you're doing it on purpose. It's a case of the brain recognizes a pattern. Your universal mind enters a pattern because you're wanting to be protected. You're wanting to be away. And that's the job of the universal mind, is to help you stay where you are. So
recreate your reality.
Yes, to recreate your reality. Yeah. Because what we do is, I explain to people, what we do is we have these 3 places. We have the village, the little town of yesterday. And in that place, we tend to visit a lot. And then we go on the other foot and we look straight out to the metropolis of tomorrow. But we forget that the bricks and mortar to build that metropolis of tomorrow, to put that yellow brick road out there, is actually in the village of now. It's in a tiny hamlet of now, right here. And shamanism is all about teaching you about being present. It's about understanding that, we're not all, luffy-duffy and flighty and lovely, great stuff. That, some of this stuff is really hard. Some of it is really challenging. And you have to understand that we're alive because we're here to be challenged.
Man, my experience, I actually got gifted. Somebody gifted me an experience with a shaman in Byron Bay, and that's actually, it was incredible. And I think and I've had plenty of different experiences all the way through my life and just never really truly got it or understood it. And Marcella, when I had this experience with her down in Byron, was maybe 2 hours. And I think I literally, as soon as I laid down on the bed, the sounds, her energy, and more than anything else, and this is because people can't tangibly touch it or see it, you can only really feel it. It's hard for people to get their actual head around.
I
was laying on that bed. I literally was tears, and I wasn't upset. It was a releasing, and it was the only way I can explain it is it's almost like it was a coming home. And as soon as I opened my eyes 2 hours later, and it felt like a split second. I just remember like locking eyes with Marcella, and both of us were just like this, just going, oh my gosh. It was so beautiful, and I've never, and it completely changed my life that day.
And it's such an honor to be able to do that for people, to allow people to be in the presence of that joyful experience. And even when it's not so joyful, when it is a big energy shift, and there are things that are coming through, because sometimes we tend to be the last resort. People come to us when they've tried everything else.
Yeah. And look, you guys, this is what people don't understand. Like, you are a facilitator, but it's also the energy. And if you like really get into this stuff, you understand that your energetic absorption and also output, it gets so tiring. It is very, very, you guys hold a lot. You hold space for people. That's what you do.
Yeah. And
It's incredible.
We don't just do it one-to-one. We do it in large groups for earth healing as well. I actually facilitated some of our group to join with some of the Aboriginal people at Uluru when they were doing the dance for the reconnect.
Oh, we've lost you there, Leslie.
I think she's frozen.
Oh no. Everybody in Obsessive, sorry, just at the moment we seem to have frozen, but I'm really
the conjunction.
There you are. You're back.
Again.
Leslie, we lost you there for a moment.
Now there we are. We're back in.
Yeah, so we just
that was Spirit having a little
started talking about Uluru, and it was like, oh.
yeah, Uluru's like, no, you're not talking about me now. No, stop.
Try again, because it's actually like explain. Sorry, what was happening at Uluru?
There was an Aboriginal tradition that was put around. I'm part of the shamanic practitioners, Shamanism Without Borders, and there was a post on there about this ceremony that was being done at Uluru by the Aboriginal tribe. I'm not going to try and say the name because I can't pronounce it and I don't want to upset anyone.
Neither can we. It's okay.
Okay. So anyway, it was being done, and it was something that I noticed. And actually, this conjunction is something that happens. One time when it happened, 500 million people died with Spanish flu. The last time one of the times this, and World War I started during this conjunction. So it's a big energetic shift for the Earth when this starts to happen. Now, it doesn't really matter whether you believe in astrology or anything like that. It's not really to do with that. It's to do with the astronomical magnetic forces that are happening when these three planets actually join forces together. And the idea was that there was a big umbilical cord that was supposed to be attached to the sun, which was to bring in a golden age. But the original ceremony got disrupted and it wasn't completed. So people were trying to complete it. So what I'm doing with my group, even now, because we can still do it online, is make ceremony. And we went out and we did it in one of the country parks here. It was raining, of course, because it's Scotland, but there you go. And yeah, we get very wet. That's why it's so green. And now I thought, well, maybe we could continue this, and each session, each big seasonal shift on Earth in our hemisphere, we can go and do another ceremony for that. So we've kept it up just to try and keep it
though. And this is what people don't get. Like, I know that people go, look, oh, it's a bunch of weirdos in a park or whatever have you, but it's all about energy and intention. And if you've got that beautiful energy and intention, the power of it is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
I love the word weird, by the way.
Me too.
When I was a child, they called me weird. And for me, that was fantastic. I embraced it because it meant they left me alone and I could go and wander off in a sunbeam and just go outside while my body was still in the classroom. I'd be out off somewhere doing something else, which got me into a hell of a lot of trouble, but I wasn't there to see it, so I didn't really care.
I was the same. Did you know my daughter, when she used to come home from school, Mummy, they call me weird, blah, blah, blah. And I said, honey, when they call you weird, repeat after me. She's like, what? Really sad. And I say, honey, you say, thank you.
Yes.
And she's like, looked at me and I said, try it and see what happens. And I'm no joke. She came home the next day and I said, how did you go? I said, did they call you weird today? And she's like, yes, every day. And I said, did you say thank you? And she said, yep. And her face, I didn't need to know the details, but her face was just lit up. And I was like, and there you go. It's okay. They're not saying they're weird. They just don't understand you. They just don't get it. It's a different,
It's a fear-based response as well. It's something that you got them to.
I've got a fly in here. It's driving me.
What's she waving at? But no, it's one of those things that it's fear-based. When you're different, And yet people, first of all, celebrate difference when, people do something amazing, like being an astronaut or something. That's different.
Yeah.
But it's scientific, so it's okay.
Well, look
But
at this platform we're using now. This
yeah,
came from a weird brain.
yeah, it is. But also the interesting thing is that what people don't realize is that when people are doing shamanic sessions, even now we can do it because this is energy. It's a line of energy that is a little bit further away from where we would prefer you to be in the room, perhaps, but it's still a line of energy, and healing can still be done over this medium.
Leslie,
Also,
have you always done this? Have you always done this as a line of work?
no, not as a line of work. I was a veterinary nurse for 35 years.
Wow.
Actually, I started off as a zookeeper when I was 11, and I worked my way down from elephants to dogs, cats, and small furries.
Wow.
And
Where?
well, in just outside Glasgow in Calder Park Zoo.
Wow.
So I lived just down the road, about a mile away from it. And my mother was desperate to make me a secretary because it was a nice, clean job. And I was in the secretarial class doing what I would do normally when I'm really bored and I don't want to be there. And I suddenly made a decision that I was going to write a letter to the zoo, whoever it was who could give me a job. And I'm clacking away on this typewriter, and I don't tell you, it's so big, Arnold Schwarzenegger would have trouble lifting it. And I had muscles on my pinky that were as big as his biceps by the time we had to press these keys down. And we're doing this exercise, ASDF, semicolon, LKJ, and it's just clack, 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 clack. And I was like, oh, no. Why? So I thought, rip the paper out, get another one in. Dear sir, I would like to work at your zoo because I want to work with animals. And the sun went out and the sound went off. And Genghis Khan, in drag, in a very bad mood, in a tight corset, was right behind me, the teacher.
Yeah.
And she put her hand right the way over and she pulled the paper out of the roller, and then she turned on her heel and walked out, and all my classmates went, oh, you're gonna get the belt. Not in a shocked way, but in a rather kind of Madame Defarge cackling, rubbing hands, oh wow, the weirdo's gonna get the belt,
Yeah.
So I waited and got worried that, my mother would be worse than the teacher. So I was wondering what I was going to do. And she called me through. And I was expecting to be shouted at and berated. And she said to me, are you serious about this? Yes. I don't want to be a secretary. Head's on the block anyway, might as well, stick my neck out. Why not? And she said, good. Excuse me? I'm thinking I've just walked into another dimension because this is not right. And she said, you have an appointment at the zoo at 11 o'clock on Sunday. And that started. So this is the kind of thing that I speak on, is making your mark. We send people off like we're little catalytic converters. Each time we speak, each time we say, where something, you did it with your daughter. You turned an event around, you turned a feeling around, an emotion. You became a catalytic converter for your daughter, who now sees herself as something absolutely amazing because she's weird.
Yeah.
Because her friends say,
It'll make me cry. I feel like I
do that all the time.
No, in a good way. Like everything that you're saying to me is just, I'm just listening and I think it's incredible. I love meeting people like you, and I love hearing these stories, because that's exactly, for anyone that's listening, that's struggling and thinking that they're stuck in a rut, or they think that they can't do something, you can. You sent an intention out into the universe, and you just put yourself out there, and look what happened.
Yeah, well, look what happened here. I saw something called the Weekly Rocket, and then I saw a Source Bottle on there, and I just went, and it didn't put me off that it was in Australia, because I thought, hell's teeth, I wanted to go on a podcast, there it's there.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's there. Do it.
Exactly.
So I don't believe that things happen randomly to a certain extent. I think that there's always order in chaos, which, suits my way of living down to the ground, really, because I'm a very chaotic person. I'm a very accidental person too, and becoming a shamanic practitioner, getting called into this business was an interesting situation. 3 cars, a
What was
bus.
it like? Have you got sorry, have you got family? You've got like daughters, sons? Have you got
No children, no children.
No, okay. So like I was just your immediate family. So when you made this step into being a shamanic practitioner, what was that like for everybody else around? Not that it would have mattered to you anyway, because that's how you've lived your life. But
they were so used to me being weird that it was just, oh, this is the next thing she's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was one of those things that I've had an incredible life, really, but each thing has been, and when you look back on things and you see the milestones, and you can join the dots as to how you got where you are, and it's really interesting because what happened was, all my life I've been having interesting situations and intuitions and feelings, and really connected to animals. So from a very early age, because of my circumstances and being slightly outside of everybody else's parameters. So, and I was an original Harry Potter. I was in the cupboard under the stairs with a big magazine called Tell Me Why, which was a big colour, amazing magazine that started off from the dinosaurs and took me all the way through Egypt, all the way through Greek mythology, all the way up to present day at the time, which was 1967, 68, something like that. And so my mind was absolutely involved in the story of learning things in these beautiful pictures. And I used to absolutely flummox people whose expectations were, like my career teacher. He said to me, "Oh, so what do you want to do when you leave school?" And you could see like a ticker tape going across his forehead: nurse, policewoman, housewife, shop assistant, I said, "Oh, I want to go and join Chipperfield Circus, get my horse master certificate and work with elephants." Oh. What makes you think that you want to work with elephants, Leslie? "Oh, well, I've been working with one for the last 5 years and I'm kind of enjoying it, so I thought I might continue with that." Didn't know where to put himself.
No.
And I tend to have that effect on people sometimes. And I must admit, on occasions I do it on purpose. But don't tell anybody.
No,
because I have a wicked sense of humor that way. So yeah, but it's true.
I love it, and you're so right. Like joining the dots through your life, and that's actually something that somebody's just said. So joining the dots in hindsight is amazing, and I think that's a really good lesson for a lot of people, or a good tip for a lot of people. It doesn't matter where you are in your life right now. If you're getting some resistance, or you're, I don't know, arguing with yourself for whatever reason, or you're all inside your own head, if you literally just look back and start to try and join those dots, I think that could be, that's an incredibly...
It would be a very good exercise to do right at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Particularly because in shamanism, when you're stuck, there's a reason for it. You're not doing what spirit wants you to do. That's how we deal with it. If we get dis-ease, so if we get sick, particularly me, I know that I'm not doing something, or I'm not paying attention to something, because when I'm shamanizing and I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to do it, I have no problems whatsoever. Everything just falls straight into place. And it's like that thing that you were, when you say about 2 hours feeling like going like that in like seconds, we bend time that way. And everybody does it. Every single person on earth will do this. Mainly because I can guarantee you that there's been a day when you've got up in the morning and you've leisurely just put the alarm off, and you've got up and you've got your shower, you've got your makeup on, you're having your cup of coffee, and you still have time to do extra things before you get to work. The very next day, you have the same alarm clock coming up. You cannot catch a break. Everything goes wrong and you end up being late. It's the same routine. It's the same time you get up. Where's the difference? The difference is in your mindset. The difference is in how you are actually creating your reality.
And how you're approaching it.
and how you're approaching it, but you're actually creating a reality. And people don't realize it, that when they're thinking, oh, no, it's going to go bad, it's going to go bad, it's going to go bad. Guess what? It's going to go bad.
Do you know that, oh God, what you're saying to me, it just, and I've known this for so long, and I love it, because, and this is where it comes down to, and what a lot of people don't understand, there's so much attention and education around what you put in your mouth, like how you eat, like if you know that if you're eating McDonald's every day, it's not going to be good for you. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? The healthcare system. But what about the stuff that we're showing, like putting into our bodies through crappy TV shows, or like, and one of my biggest things, like watching things like, Coronation Street and EastEnders and all these negative drama, doldrum type of situations that you're feeding into yourself, and then like pushing out those same kind of like dramatic energy.
Because you're associating with it. That's you're aligning your energy with that energy. You're enjoying that, because it's like, we all like to twitch the curtain every so often and see what's happening to Mrs. Bloggs down the road. But at the same time, what happens there is none of our business. We've got to deal with what we're doing. We're a whole universe wrapped up in a body. And our universe is actually sick or well, depending on the stuff that we're giving it to work on. And it's one of those things that I cannot get away with how many programs there are about psychopaths.
It's crazy, isn't it?
What is the fascination with psychopaths?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it's partly to do with the polarization that we've got going on with everything at the moment, where we're running in fear towards things and the fascination of things that are bad, because we're not really supposed to know that. And we're like kids, we want to know what we're not supposed to know. We want to go where we're not supposed to go. But at the same time, the other end of it just doesn't seem real to us just now, because of the kind of times that we live in, with all the people who are so wounded that their dogma decides that they're going to kill people for the reason of religion or just a difference in opinion, and it's one of those things that when you get some perspective on it, like just now, how important is that? Because basically the most important thing is what we're thinking and how we're thinking it, and how we're actually, if we can sit back and notice how we are coming together while being apart.
And this is the thing, like, so when people start to, and there's somebody saying here, there's a big difference too between creating a community and gossiping about neighbors. And on that same thing, if you're outwardly looking for, and like taking in your downtime is watching crappy TV or, reading a book, and what you're actually feeding into your reality, the same thing. It's a reflection of, if you spent that time investing into yourself and giving yourself, though, like a working on an intention and a reality that you want for yourself, because that's a hard thing to get your head around, Leslie, is how you manifest your reality, and how you, for people that don't have any money, and how you can manifest abundance and things like that.
Oh, well, I can tell you one way you can do it without any money. Journal. Make a journal.
Writing,
Actually write down your aspirations. I have two next to where I write, and one of them says, "Dare to believe the whispers that you may someday change the world." Yeah. And the other one is big thinking precedes big ideas.
Yeah.
Big ideas, And it's one of those things that once we realize, and we start to realize, and we do tend to go up there to the first hurdle and go, oh, no, maybe not now. I'm just going to stay here in my bath of custard, because it's icky and it's yucky, but it's familiar, and it's the same temperature as I am.
Yeah.
And it's cold.
I do get that, though, because I suppose sometimes people are in such overwhelming situations. The thought of being out of control, in an already out of control situation, could be more inviting to stay in the custard. I like your definition.
I think it's it was a friend of mine who came up with that. That's disgusting. She said, "Yes, isn't it? But we still live here." And I was like, "Yes, we do, don't we? We do. And we drip it all over the place. We leak our custard all over the place, so other people slip on it and fall in too, And we really do like to share that kind of stuff sometimes.
But I love that. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, please do.
Leaking your custard all over the place.
Yes. Yes. Let's have an anti-custard situation going on.
How good is your custard?
Yeah. If it's not creme glaze, forget it.
No, I could seriously sit here and listen to hours, like for hours and hours.
Oh, easily.
Honestly, I feel like we just need like a good blanket.
I've just been sat here the whole time like this, like tell me more, tell me more,
We need
tell
a
me
good
more.
blanket and like a nice warm like brandy or something delicious, and just sit and listen to you for hours.
Yeah.
But we can't. So I know that we've got heaps of comments. There's heaps of people, and you should jump on after and actually just go and talk to people and respond anyway. But there's so many people that are really resonating with you, Leslie. And I know that like in decades past, not a lot of people are really don't really understand the previous. I like the word woo-woo, to be honest. I actually
like
think it's cool.
woo-woo.
I love it. I'm woo-woo and I'm proud. So I think now is the time to really start to embrace this type of mindset, because this is where your greatest power is. Everything else is falling away.
I'm not just saying this and waffling. I've actually lived this.
You do, yeah.
I was diagnosed with cancer of the uterus in 2010, just about 6 months after getting married. And basically, I had been getting trained to deal with this all of my life. That was when I really looked at my milestones and saw that my shamanic training had such a lot to do with my recovery and how I was going to recover from it. And my veterinary nursing and dealing with people who were supposedly above me in the relationship of nurse and vet kind of thing, and nurse and doctor. That being able to speak to people and being able to understand things, but actually having a voice and understanding that I had a say in this. I had a say in what was going to happen. So I used my shamanic training and I used some of that. And if anybody wants to ask me about it, then definitely it will go there. But trust me, I have done it.
And you don't even, it's in your energy. It's actually a part of who you are, and it's very easy for, especially, I don't know, for other people, but for me, I can see it. I can almost see the energy like radiating off you. So behind you 100%. So we have to wrap this up because we're going into 40 minutes now. But if anybody wants to ask Leslie any questions at all, you want to know any further information, Leslie, feel free to put your links and everything in the conversation when you go back and have a look and have a chat to other people. But if anybody wants to ask you anything, can they reach out to you?
Yes, certainly. Not a problem at all. I actually do an assessment as well for soul loss. If there's any soul loss in your life at any stage in your life, I'm actually working on an assessment questionnaire for that. And I can tell you where it's happened, and then we can work together and see about doing something about it.
I love that. And I know that there's so many people that would actually be very interested in that. So look, we're hoping to have you back at some time in the future anyway. We love what you're doing. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. We love it, and can't wait to see you grow in our group, because that's what it's all about.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. Tash Deli.
What? Which one's that one?
Tash Deli.
Tash Deli. What's that?
Tibetan.
Oh, it's my dream. That was on my list of top destinations. It's actually my dream to go to Tibet. So Tash Deli.
It was Leslie's as well when she went. But we can't talk about that now, which I'm really sad about.
We're gonna talk about it. We are gonna talk about it, but not right now. And we'll come back and we'll talk about Tibet.
We're gonna have a series 2 with Leslie.
Yes, Part 2.
I'm down with that. That's so cool. Thank you so much for joining us, Leslie. You have a lovely evening. Get some rest, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye, everyone.
Hold on.